everyone, my name is Martin and welcome to another great edition of MP Astro. Now today I'm going to discuss about what's happened with Astrolavista, who bought a telescope. Please check out his channel. Alright, he did a product review on the latest StellaLyra, the F4.5 Newtonian reflector. Now it's meant to be an imaging Newtonian, and he did a great review on it, which is really fantastic review. And to be honest with you, I was actually considering buying that telescope and testing that one out, and I'm glad I didn't. And I wish to say thanks for Astrolavista for coming back quick in rapid time with another video to highlight the main problem with the focusing issue. And the focusing issue is with the StellaLyra. The Newtonian can focus without a coma corrector, which is completely fine, and I must admit it's quite frustrating where you can't use a budget coma corrector, and it just seems like it's meant to be an imaging telescope. I think it's a big flaw on the GSO. It should never have been released, and to be honest with you, it should have been tested out properly before it was actually put onto sale. Now I was obviously one of the lucky ones who didn't purchase that telescope, and to be honest with you, I feel sorry for the people who already have and disappointed of not being able to use a cheap coma corrector. Now on his channel Astrolavista, he does highlight that you have to use an expensive Teleview Paracorr coma corrector to be able to sort out the focus issue. Now it seems to me, this is my thoughts, alright, I've not bought a telescope, and to be honest with you, looking at the pictures, looking at his video, it seems to be they haven't used a low profile focuser. It looks like they've just used a standard focuser, and I think that's probably the main reason why you can't achieve focus as such. Now this is meant to be an imaging Newtonian, which means you'll be able to use it with a DSLR camera, and you can use it with any coma corrector and any Astro camera you should have available. And it's really disappointing that when you buy a telescope, you bought a product and it hasn't performed as it should. This is lessons learned from a lot of Astro channels out there. When you go and buy at your own pocket to review a telescope, the biggest problem that a lot of them tend to do is rush in, buy the telescope and be quick to review the product. It's great to grab all the views and all that, but you've got to be careful. Alright, when you do a product review, personally I like to test out some products for a good year. Hence the reason why some of my reviews seem to be outdated. But the reasons for that is I've properly tested out a telescope throughout the year and learned through the flaws and highlight the main problems. Personally, I don't push out product reviews just to become the first to review it, and that's the biggest problem we get. And I always say, even with cars, for example, speaking as a mechanic by trade, I never buy the first two models of that car that's just been pushed out, because what you'll find is you'll get a lot of design flaws or something has gone wrong, and usually the main problems occur on the first production vehicles, ideally the first and the second designs that usually have these flaws. Most flaws are usually ironed out and sorted out by the manufacturer, and it usually gets dealt with rather quickly. So that's why I prefer to stand back, and obviously people take the risk by making these videos, and I totally agree, right? Astrolavista spent out of his own pocket to review it, and that's what happens. That's what happens with product reviews. You take the risk, and that's what happens. You know, things don't go to plan. So I'm learning from experience here. I've done quite a few reviews, and I totally get it. I totally get what's happened. Totally get it. So what I'm going to do is put my thoughts into this video, because I have a Newtonian with a similar spec. Yes, this is actually modified, but I've actually been able to achieve focus with this telescope. It's not exactly f4, but the concepts are there on a typical Newtonian. Again, this is the same aperture f4.5, and I have found some ways to achieve focus, alright, with this telescope. Now, if you've not seen the review on this telescope, I've done quite a few series of product reviews, and I've done loads of modification reviews on this telescope. This is the Skywatcher 114mm aperture Newtonian reflector, and it's an f5. Okay, it's not quite the StellaLyra, but the concepts are basically the same. The optics are almost identical. Obviously, I had to modify it to make it sort of able to take astro images. Also, I'm going to give out some ideas to help manufacturers, so when they redesign and re-alter their telescope, for example, this might work. Now, I've done some modifications to this telescope, and and I'm going to show you some evidence to prove to you guys and girls and everyone that this works. All right, and I have done a lot of head scratching and head banging to try and get this sorted out. And I'll be honest with you, with this StellaLyra Newtonian, I don't get why you have to pay £299 and then pay for a £500–600 coma corrector to be able to achieve focus with some cameras. I just don't get it, alright? And I think it's a big flaw from GSO to not rectify that. It seems like they've not used a low profile focuser, or yeah, there could be several possibilities why it's not working. But to be honest with you, I thought I'll give my take on this and my thoughts, and I'm going to show my modifications and what could be done, which could probably help Astrolavista and help GSO as well in the process. Now, obviously, he's probably sent his telescope back to First Light Optics to get it bench tested and then report on the existing faults, which is completely fine. And I wish to thank First Light Optics, by the way, for helping me out with the motherboard issue that I had with my NEQ6 mount. So far, that's behaving. It's been absolutely awesome. I've had no any issues whatsoever, and thanks to First Light Optics to be on the ball, helping me out, so obviously sort that out for me. So I'm going to give my thoughts and some ideas that could help both parties and help to improve on the StellaLyra 4.5. And to be honest with you, I really wanted to buy that telescope myself because it really does look pretty smart. So before we start, please hit a like button, and again, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe onto this channel, and please share this video out. Again, if you bought a telescope, particularly that model, the StellaLyra, maybe this could probably help solve that issue. I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm just going to put my input, some ideas that could help you all. And again, please hit the bell, scroll up, select all, and I will keep you notified for any new videos that I publish out very, very soon. So to that on, keep watching and let's do this. So then everyone, I'm going to show you my modified Skywatcher 114, and the biggest problem I had to do with this telescope is I'm going to show you what I had to do. Now, I can't use the last video. I had 1.25" focuser, and I was only restricted what I could do on that focuser. Again, it was not a perfect focuser, so I looked around everywhere and I just cannot seem to find any 2-inch format focusers that will fit and achieve focus. Because one thing I have found about that, even though I've reduced this optical tube to about 2-inch less, I still had focusing issues. So what I've got here is a helical focuser. Now I have looked online for a Christian low profile Newtonian focuser. Cannot find one that will fit this optical tube. A lot of focusers are designed around probably the 8-inch all the way up to 12-inch models. They just don't seem to make focusers for smaller tubes of 6-inch or less. And this is a 4.5 mirror, and what I've got here is this helical focuser that I managed to purchase through NES Optical. This was a second hand. It cost me 20 quid, and it's basically just a helical focuser. So basically I had to modify it, as you can see, to be able to fit it. As you can see there, I've had to do a bit of alterations, but again, it mated properly on the optical tube by 2 screws, and it held in quite well. And as you can see there, it's nicely done. It fits perfectly. Now the good thing about this helical focuser is that there's no jaw tube protruding and blocking the primary mirror, and that's what I like about this system. Alright, so yes, it's brought into focus a lot easier, and I'll be able to use 2-inch format eyepieces and obviously camera setups and all that, and coma correctors. So as you can see there, the jaw tube is not protruding into the optical chain, blocking the light path. Alright, and that's the advantage. The disadvantage of this is the focusing mechanism. You have to unscrew it all the way around, alright, to achieve focus. Basically it's just a simple screw. There's no locking mechanism, but I'm going to figure out how to make a locking mechanism to lock that in place so that I don't lose focus. So that's the disadvantage of this system. But it's like on a really sort of tight thread, and you can do minute movements. Yes, the movements are very small, but it's the best I could find. All right, it's a cheap end helical focuser. So there is a helical focuser out at the moment which is low profile, like this one. This one gives me a travel of 20 millimeters. I'm literally 20 millimeters closer to the optical tube. All right, and there is one that Antares do. You can buy that from Rother Valley Optics for £60. Now I don't know if that will fit onto this StellaLyra optical tube, but it's something that's sort of similar to this. I don't know what this helical focuser, I don't know what telescope this has come from. It's not perfect, but it's given me some kind of solution. I can actually attach my Canon 600D, and here I'm using the standard Skywatcher coma corrector. Now this is what the Astrolavista was on about. He wanted to use a standard coma corrector. Now this is a bog standard coma corrector. Alright, this will work with a lot of reflectors ranging from f6 to f4. Alright, and it works really well, and it does give you a slight reduction of 0.9 times as well, so you do get a bit of a field reduction. So a budget style coma corrector like that, alright, and it attaches quite well straight away onto your camera T-ring like so. Alright, just screws on there. This will give me the ideal air gap that's needed, which is around about 55mm air gap. This is 11mm air gap, the T-ring, and the camera body is 44mm air gap. And this will just screw on there like so. Voila. Alright, there's my coma corrector, and this will just fit straight away onto the telescope like so. And I just lock the thumb screws like so. The good thing about my design is I can lock all 4 screws in there centrally onto the coma corrector. Alright, it is fiddly, it's not perfect. I have to move the helical focuser to get to those screws. So there it is. As you can see there, the telescope and the camera and coma corrector is mounted nice and secure. Alright, it really is robust, right? It's not going nowhere. So that is my design, how I managed to achieve this on my existing Skywatcher Skyhawk Newtonian. Again, this setup will still enable me to do my I can still use a laser collimator, so I can collimate my optics, alright, because this is a parabolic mirror, alright, I can just clamp on there, alright, and then I can do my collimation through there. So like I say, it's not a bad modification, but it does have its hassles. So now I'm going to prove to you, everyone, that I'm going to fit my Skywatcher coma corrector on my 600D. As you can see, it's fitted already. I'm going to fit it onto the helical focuser, and I'm also trying to do this with one hand. I'm going to tighten up the screws. I have 4 locking screws. That's a good thing, is it sort of centralizes it quite, makes it more secure as well. Sometimes I have to rotate the focuser, alright, to try and get to some of the screws. Again, this is where it's got some of its design flaws about it. So it's not a perfect design. However, it is a lot more sturdy, it is a lot more robust than the 1 1/4" focuser that I had. Alright, but this system, it goes in there quite well, and I am balanced. Now, as you can see, we've already got a live view of the tower. Now, as you can see there, this black bit is literally the edge of my window, so don't worry about that. That's not an optical defect. So with that, I'm gonna, as you can see, I'm already focused on the tower. So we'll scroll around as well, just to prove to you that this is not an optical design flaw. So as you can see, you've got the edge there. We've got a wide field of view of the scenery, and as you can see, I'm just panning across. We've got a few birds there on the field, alright, and as you can see there, we've got a nice field of view, very bright, alright, bright through the telescope. So as you can see, we've got a nice wide field of view, and I'm already focused. I'm going to focus on the church there, the church tower. The thing is with this design is, for me to achieve focus, I've literally got to move the camera in and out like this, try and get focus. And this is the reason why I really wanted the StellaLyra format. Alright, and with that focuser, if that was designed in a way, I would, that will replace my existing telescope. Yes, it works out for me. I am being able to capture focus. I am focused with the color, also with the telescope with that focus. Now the other one is that, you know, the 1.25 inch focus that I had. That was okay, but it wasn't perfect. All right, it was not very good at securing the weight of the camera. Plus, I just couldn't use a coma corrector, and I wasn't prepared to pay €149 and pay for the customs charge for an 1.25 inch coma corrector to fit this. And I thought, well, the StellaLyra was the solution, but obviously it's just not possible. And with this setup alone, you know, you've got the camera there and the coma corrector, again, not exposing through the drivetrain, well, through the optical train. So as you can see, some draw tubes will tend to partially block the primary mirror, right? And that could cause some weird artifacts in your images and all that. Here, it fits nice and snugly on there without no dramas. Well, as you can see, recording through the Canon 600D, and you can see straight away a massive field of view through the coma corrector, obviously secured with the helical focuser on my telescope. And I must admit, really is an impressive field of view. I'm using ISO 200, and I'm just going to check the exposure. So I'm at the slow, right, so I'm at 16, yeah, I'm at 1 in 1600 of a second. Alright, so this is not a delayed sort of exposure, but like if I go down to 4000, which is the slowest, we've still got a lot of light entering the camera. So we're at 1/4000th of a second there, and we still got a manageable, very bright image there, and that's very impressive. And I must admit, it's such a wide field of view. I have no idea what F ratio that is, because the Skywatcher coma corrector does give you a 0.9 reduction. So I'm really happy with the results, because being able to achieve that focused, I can still get away with astrophotography without a doubt there. Obviously this doesn't prove anything, to be honest with you. All it proves is just to manage to stay focused. The best test is with the stars, because that will show you the image errors in there, and that will prove a lot of things. But from the look of it, it's flattened the field, and I reckon it will actually work. It's just a real shame that I don't have any dark skies to test out properly. But at least there's one thing, I'm focused and I've got the image in that nice little village there. It's all nice and crisp. So as you can see here, I'm also fitted my Nexus from StellaLyra. This is the 75 times reducer coma corrector, and as you can see, it does not fit very well on this helical design. Yes, it's secure, it will hold the weight, and the main problem is though, the focus tube is all the way in. So the helical design is very robust, it can hold the weight, and again, it's still not protruding through the drivetrain. Now, as you can see, I'm just going to show you that the Nexus will probably work if I could probably push this focus, if I could push the Nexus further in more. But where this design is of this helical focuser, I can only push it to so far, and then that's it. It will not allow me to go any further. So there's something with that focuser there's like a stop. So it can only allow me to push it in further in, and that's it. I've already moved my helical focuser all the way in. Right, this is already screwed all the way in. So that is literally the maximum sort of I can go closer to the secondary mirror. And I'm going to prove to you, everyone, that again I am focused, and I'm literally, this is all the way in and it's not working. And again I'm going to show you again. If you take a closer look, we're almost there. So if the helical design allowed me to just give me a little bit more, like a good 5, maybe 6 mil inward focus, I will probably be able to achieve focus with the Nexus coma corrector. Now, as you can see, I can use the telescope with the helical focuser, and I have to use extension tubes to achieve focus. So the bigger extension I have to do, it depends on what eyepieces I'm using. Here I'm using a 35mm extension and another 20mm extension connected up to that extension tube to do a bigger focus, and then fine tune the focus, turning the helical focuser to get that fine tuned focus. And as you can see, we can get the telescope into focus, and as if I just dim down so that you can see we've got the church tower into view. I'm all over the place, but I can use this telescope and use 2-inch format. Yeah, I can use 2-inch format eyepieces with this telescope. Really is quite impressive. And as you can see now, what we've also got here is I'm using extension tube up to 95, and I can even use Steve Case's awesome 2-inch format 50mm, 52mm eyepiece. And as you can see there, I can prove to you, everyone, it works with that scope as well. So if I just dim down the aperture, we've got a really massive field of view through the eyepiece. And as you can see, nice image there. So yes, we've got an image through this telescope using the extension tubes, using the mighty Steve Case's 52mm double Plossl eyepiece. And again, it works even for that. And again, it's such a stable platform, right? There don't seem to be any slop. A lot of weight on there, but this is all clamped together and there's hardly any slop at all. Alright, so it does work with this eyepiece, this budget eyepiece, really well. And it's just a case of the main disadvantage of this helical focus, you've got to use extension tubes to extend it out to use certain eyepieces. Not all eyepieces achieve focus, so some of like longer focal lengths like this one, you've got to really extend the focus tubes out more to extend it out to achieve focus. And then, like always, you still got to just madly turn the helical focuser back and forth all the way around to get that focus you need. All right, so my design does work. It's not bad, it's not great either, but it's the only solution I can do with this scope. So there you go. As you can see, I've used a helical focuser. Again, I do not know what telescope that's come from, but a helical focuser could possibly work with the TS Photon or the StellaLyra telescope. It's not a perfect solution, I totally agree, because helical focusers could probably have a bit of slop in the optical train, The focusing is a bit fiddly when you're trying to focus. Also, you have to tilt the camera around and all that. It does have its flaws. However, it's the only way that I can possibly fit a coma corrector on there, a standard Skywatcher coma corrector, and I can get great images from that setup. So yes, it does have its flaws, but again, it's an idea that I just want to share to you guys and girls and everyone. A helical focuser, there's nothing wrong with helical focusers because they are low profile, they are easy to, once you mount it on there, they're easy to mount, and as you can see there on that setup, I can quite happily fit a Canon 600D with the coma corrector, and as you saw those images there, those picture quality in there, I've achieved focus quite well. And don't forget, I mean, the back focus that I need is not much. It's literally like 20mm of back focus, you know, and that's what you need. You really need to push the focus further in more into the secondary mirror to able to get that, achieve that focus. So you need to have it pretty close. And don't forget, I have chopped the tube down. Again, I have took like I think an inch or 2 inches off at the bottom to reduce the size to able to do that as well. Again, I won't recommend chopping an optical tube on the StellaLyra, being a carbon fibre tube. Again, you're going to invalidate the warranty, and that could possibly be another issue. Is they could design the optical tube, the GSO, to reduce the tube size a little bit more, push the primary mirror further up, and maybe achieve focus that way. But again, it seems like they've just used a standard focuser, a 2-inch Newtonian focuser. Now what I don't understand is, like, if you had that coma corrector on that setup, again you're going to have the coma corrector and the focus draw tube go into the secondary mirror, and it's going to block the light path. On this setup alone, even with the helical focuser, I don't have that issue. Alright, I will not have that draw tube protruding through and blocking some of the light, and also might actually affect the resolution, the sharpness of your images. So that's the advantage with the helical focuser. Yes, it is fiddly to achieve focus, but once you get that focus there, you can lock it in position. There's your focus, and then you'll be off and away taking great images. And it's a shame that I couldn't test it out astro imaging to show you what it looks through a nebula or galaxy or whatever, and see how that performs. But as you can see, just focusing on a distant target far away, and being able to achieve focus with a helical focuser, thus being able to use 2-inch format eyepieces, and I can use my coma corrector with my DSLR camera. And that is one possible way that can be done. Reduce the tube size or change the focuser to a helical focuser. I must admit, Skywatcher do actually do a low profile 2-inch focuser for a Newtonian, but it only seems to be, those focusers are mainly for like the 9 and 12-inch Newtonian reflectors. So if GSO designed a low profile focuser, something that's probably like probably an inch sort of like working distance, that would probably work better. Alright, so you need to get that the focuser much closer to the secondary mirror to able to achieve focus. And with that low profile focuser from Skywatcher, the jaw tube does not intrude. This one's like when you focus all the way in, it does not block the path, and that's something that GSO could actually look into, is redesigning that focuser. Maybe that will work better. And again, yes, GSO have actually developed an 1.25" coma corrector. Now this only fits, now this coma corrector, you can only buy this from Telescope Service, And then again, provide the link below. And this is the Komakorr1. The Komakorr1 is a inch and a quarter. It's GSO as well. It's a GSO brand, and it's a coma corrector, and it costs around £149. Now the Komakorr1 will work on the TS Photon 4.5, which is the TCP, which is the TPC 45 F4, right? So that one is costing around €379. Now that one has an inch and a quarter focuser, and the focuser looks like a low profile. Here it has a T2 thread, so that you can actually fit a DSLR T-ring on the coma corrector and then fit it through the nose piece on that focuser. It only seems to be that only coma corrector that works with the TC Photon 4.5. So that's the one with the inch and a quarter or T2 adaptation focuser. That's the cheaper one. The more expensive one, which is exactly the same as the StellaLyra, that is the TS Photon 4.5, and that is the TPC 45 F4-2. That one's at €399. However, there is no coma corrector with that focuser, and it seems exactly the same sort of branded telescope as the GSO with the same focuser. So again, they all might have the same issues with that telescope as well. With the Komakorr1, the inch and a quarter variant, yes, it's €149, which is cheaper, but you still need a working distance to be able to achieve focus. So you need the camera sensor to be at least an air gap of 72mm, and with that, that coma corrector can only work with sensor size diagonally. So sensor size and camera sensor sizes up to 23mm. So you're probably really pushing it with even the Canon 600D. So you might get a bit of vignetting through the Komakorr1 coma corrector. But again, this will only work with the TS Photon f4.5 TPC 45 F4. Wow, that's a mouthful. So again, GSO should really start to redesign, rejig this Newtonian reflector that they've got, and devise a special coma corrector for that to work with that telescope. I think the main issue is they seem to have not used a low profile focuser, and it seems that with that using a standard focuser, yes, it's great without the coma corrector, but to be honest with you, if you're going to advertise it as a astrograph, then you need to have it so that it be able to work with coma correctors and other cameras. Now, I'm only just using a DSLR camera. Now, this system might not actually work with other CCDs or other Astro cameras, but I thought I'd share my ideas out, maybe to help GSO and help Telescope Service and obviously Astrolavista and all you guys and girls and everyone who's bought that telescope. Yes, you rushed in, it happens. Mistakes happen all the time, and I totally get it. I'm glad I didn't buy it, because I was going to test it out. But again, when I do a product review, I tend to test it out and I will tell you the flaws all in one video. I don't rush in. I like to test it out and show you some real images through it, and so that you can see for yourself. Again, a lot of Astro channels make that mistake by pushing videos out just to be first to review it. It seems to be like a rat race or something. I don't know why that is, but to me, to be honest with you, my videos, the way that I do it is I learned the hard way. I bought some things that were absolute total garbage, and usually when they're that bad, I don't even bother publishing a video. If they're really that bad, then I'm not wasting my time on it. But there are some telescopes and some products that could be improved, that could be better. And again, this is a clear example. This is not just to pick on GSO telescope service on their telescopes. Mistakes happen all the time, but the good thing about that is we're helping companies help to improve on their products to make it better. Alright, and that's what I'm trying to highlight to you guys and girls and everyone. And I wish to thank Astrolavista. He did an amazing review on it, and I'm glad in a way he quickly made a comeback video to say, whoa, stop there, alright, we've got problems with this telescope. And I'm glad that he's done that, because there'll be a fair few people who will be pretty upset, bought a telescope, trying to fit it with a coma corrector, and then something has happened to it. There is a helical focuser that you can buy from River Valley Optics. They sell I believe there's a helical focuser. I will provide the link below, and it's designed by Antares, and Antares have made a low profile helical focuser, and that could possibly fit the optical tube on the StellaLyra, but don't quote me on that. Alright, again, it's sort of a similar setup as this helical focuser. So again, you could probably have to take off that focuser and then obviously buy this helical focuser from Antares from River Valley Optics. You will achieve focus, I reckon, and I think that's what's happened there. They obviously with GSO using a standard focuser, it's just not quite good enough. So there's a bit of a balance. So I reckon with the Antares one, now the Antares helical focuser costs £60, which is downside cheaper. But again, if you're prepared to fiddle around with the focus and twist your camera body around and things like that, I'm not saying it's a perfect modification, because believe me, it does have its flaws. And to be honest with you, I mean, it's the only way I could adapt a 2-inch format coma corrector onto my telescope. But again, I've achieved focus. I've got a nice bright images, and the good thing is that I'm using a standard Skywatcher coma corrector, which does have a slight focal reduction on there of 0.9 times focal reduction. So that means it actually speeds up the optics of this telescope even more. I don't know exactly. I'm not that clued up how that works, but for some sort of reason it does appear brighter. I've got a wider field of view, and it looks promising. I can't wait to test this out doing an Astro image session. But again, I live up in Scotland, and again, June time, the skies are twilight. They do not get dark up here. So I have to wait till late August till the skies get darker. That's the only time I'll start testing things out properly. As you can see there, it's just the way it is. But I thought I'd share some ideas. Maybe the manufacturers will listen, or First Light Optics will be able to raise obviously the issues. But again, I just thought, well, the whole idea of this Astro community is to help each other out and help towards obviously the community, and that's what it's all about. Sometimes I'm just a bit fed up with some of the bigger Astro channels. They tend to just publish out the latest products, which is great, but when things go wrong and they don't do comeback videos to highlight problems and key issues, it's weird that some of the smaller Astro channels are doing a better job here. And I don't understand why some of the bigger Astro channels are just publishing out top videos and be the first to review it, but yet you get smaller channels that will be more loyal to their viewers, right? More honest and trustworthy. Because at the end of the day, like most of us that do this hobby, the smaller channels amongst us, we're dedicated to the hobby, and our main interest is they're not here for views and likes and stuff like that. Most of the time it's dedicated to the hobby, and I like making videos. And again, and same as Astrolavista's channel and many others, they all like to they share the passion of astronomy by making videos, and that's what it's all about. And to that I wish to say thanks for Astrolavista and his hard work for what he's done. Hopefully the issues get sorted out from GSO. Maybe they find a possible solution. I'm hoping they're watching this video. Maybe this might help them out. I don't know. And so, like always, thanks again. Thanks for watching, and I wish you all clear skies.